You think being an NHL coach sounds like the dream job? Front row seat to every game, millionaire salary, total authority over the team? Yeah, until you realize it's actually the worst job in hockey, because behind that bench is a pressure cooker where you're one bad power play away from getting booed out of the building. Your best player can ignore your system, your GM can sabotage your lineup and the media. They'll roast you alive before the second period ends. And the craziest part, even when you win, you still lose. You're not in charge. You're just the first to blame. On paper, the NHL head coach is supposed to be the boss. They hold the dry erase marker, they set the lines, they make the in-game calls, but behind the scenes, they're often the least powerful person in the building. You don't get to build your team. The general manager does. You don't control contract negotiations, draft picks, or trades. And if you do try to push for a player that fits your system, good luck. The front office might overrule you to save face on a high-profile deal. Your roster becomes a puzzle you didn't choose, but you're still expected to make it fit. Let's take Mike Babcock's last season in Toronto as an example. A Stanley Cup winning coach with international gold medals tossed aside mid-season because the locker room turned cold. The GM brought in skilled, young offensive weapons. Babcock wanted heavier, more responsible two-way players. The visions clashed. Guess who lost? And it's not just stars you manage, it's the layers of pressure that come with them. You're expected to get buy-in from a $10 million franchise winger who's already been on 3 magazine covers. You want to shift his minutes or tweak his role. You better believe his agent is texting the GM within 24 hours. Worse, any dip in performance, whether it's goaltending, power play, or team chemistry, immediately circles back to you. The press conference isn't asking the goalie why he gave up 5 goals on 15 shots. They're asking you why the team wasn't mentally ready, and there's no room to vent, no margin to say what's really happening behind closed doors. You smile through media interviews, praise the process, take responsibility, even when the problem is an uncoachable locker room or a GM's off-season gamble gone wrong. Most coaches walk a tightrope between what they believe is right and what they know won't get them fired. That's not leadership, that's survival. NHL coaches are fired faster than they're hired, even when they win. In the National Hockey League, job security is an illusion. From 2010 to 2023, over 110 head coaches were fired, and the average tenure shrank to less than 2.4 seasons. That's shorter than the time it takes to rebuild a roster, or even finish a contract. And it's not just the struggling coaches who get axed. Some of the best in the league, proven winners, respected leaders, are tossed aside after successful seasons, purely because expectations weren't met fast enough. Take Gerard Gallant. He took an expansion team, the Vegas Golden Knights, to the Stanley Cup final in their very first year, a miracle run. Within 2 years, he was fired after a brief slump, even though the team was still playoff bound. Not enough progress, too much pressure. Or Barry Trotz, one of the most respected minds in hockey. He led the Washington Capitals to their first ever Stanley Cup in 2018. 1 year later, he wasn't retained. Why? A contract dispute? They lowballed him, he left. The winningest coach in team history, out the door. And Bruce Boudreau, affectionately known around the league and adored by fans. In Vancouver, fans chanted his name while management plotted his firing. He was publicly humiliated, hung out to dry as the media reported on his exit before the front office even acknowledged it. He cried in his final presser. That's the business. In no other professional sport are coaches punished so swiftly for doing their jobs well. In the NFL, coaches are often given multiple years to build a system. In the NBA, front offices tend to own the timeline. In the NHL, one bad stretch of games, 3 losses in 5 nights, and you're suddenly a problem. Even legendary coaches aren't immune. Alain Vigneault took 2 different teams to the Stanley Cup final, fired twice in 4 years. Peter Laviolette, 3 finals appearances, 1 cup, respected everywhere. Fired 3 times since 2014. Why? Because hockey front offices are addicted to the quick fix. They can't trade half the team mid-season. They can't cut a $9 million contract without cap hell. But they can fire you, the coach, and hope that sparks something. It's not about strategy. It's not even about performance. It's about optics. Firing the coach is the ultimate do-something move. It calms angry fans. It buys time from reporters. It shifts the narrative from this team is broken to maybe this guy just lost the room. There are cases where coaching changes work. Look at Craig Berube, who replaced Mike Yeo in 2019 and went on to win the Cup with the Blues. But for every Berube, there are 5 scapegoated coaches who never even got a chance to implement their system. What the fans don't see is how impossible it is to create real culture in 18 months. Systems take time, trust takes time, developing a team identity takes time, but NHL front offices don't give you time. They give you a window, and it's closing before you even hang your first practice whiteboard. The harsh truth is this: being good isn't enough. Being respected isn't enough. Even winning isn't enough. Because in the NHL, a head coach isn't evaluated on logic. He's evaluated on results. And if those results dip for even a short stretch, your phone rings, you're out. No thank yous, no send-off pressers. Just a short press release. We'd like to thank Coach X for his contributions. We wish him well in future endeavors. That's hockey. Every word, every glance. You're judged like a criminal on trial. Most jobs give you a grace period, a little space to figure things out, make mistakes, build credibility. Coaching in the NHL, you're expected to have all the answers from day one. And if you don't, the public dissects your every move like it's a courtroom cross-examination. Every post-game presser becomes a trial. Every quote is evidence. Every pause, every sigh, every word choice. Interpreted, spun, and analyzed. Did you say your team lacked effort? Now you're throwing your players under the bus. Did you defend your group? He's making excuses. Say nothing, he's hiding. Say too much, he's cracking under pressure. In major hockey markets, Toronto, Montreal, Boston, New York, the press coverage is 24/7. There are entire TV panels dedicated to breaking down your facial expressions. Sports radio will spend an entire segment debating whether your tone in a press conference indicates you've lost the room. Just look at what happened to Sheldon Keefe in Toronto. After a first-round playoff loss, reporters peppered him with questions about leadership, commitment, preparation. His answers were measured, diplomatic even, but the headlines that week were brutal. Does Keefe have control? Is this team tuning him out? Who's really running the Maple Leafs? It doesn't matter if the goalie let in soft goals or the star players didn't show up. In the public eye, the coach is guilty until proven innocent. And then there's the social media pressure. Twitter/X has turned every hockey fan into a coach killer with a keyboard. A questionable timeout call, a failed challenge, one bad power play setup. Within minutes, hashtags like #FireCoachName start trending. You are not just battling the opposing team anymore. You are battling a digital mob, constantly refreshing your approval rating like a politician in a scandal. Even in-game decisions are no longer private. Bench a veteran for a turnover, and you'll be on slow motion replay within minutes, with commentators saying you've lost trust in your leaders. Put the wrong line out after a timeout, and you'll be accused of poor situational awareness. And when the team loses, every choice is retroactively deemed a mistake. Let's not forget the body language analysis. Coaches have been criticized for arms folded on the bench, for not yelling enough, for yelling too much, for looking too calm, for looking too agitated. You can't win. The narrative builds with every passing day. Lose a couple games, something feels off. Lose 5, he's lost the room. Lose 8, he never had it. The insanity is that your job performance is being evaluated by people who have no access to the locker room, no clue what was said behind closed doors, no understanding of what you're dealing with medically, mentally, or emotionally, but the court of public opinion is always in session, and you're the defendant. It's not enough to win, you have to win the right way, you have to say the right things, look the right way, never blink, never crack, never let them know you're drowning. And here's the brutal truth, even when you win, the narrative can turn on you. After the Tampa Bay Lightning won back-to-back Stanley Cups, John Cooper was hailed as a genius. But during the 2023 playoffs, when the Lightning lost in the first round to Toronto, suddenly the media questioned whether his message had gone stale. From elite to expendable in one series. Coaches walk into every interview knowing this. You're not being heard, you're being judged, and the verdict comes in every single day. Behind the bench, there's a human falling apart. On TV, NHL coaches look sharp, suits pressed, arms crossed, eyes locked on the ice. But behind the bench, there's often a man running on 3 hours of sleep, 2 energy drinks deep, and holding his sanity together with a clipboard and caffeine. The NHL season is an 82-game marathon across 2 countries, multiple time zones, and freezing winter travel. Add in practices, film sessions, press obligations, and you've got a job that easily pushes 14 to 18 hours hours a day, every day from September to May. And that's if you're lucky enough to make it that far. Coaches don't have off days. Even on travel days or scheduled breaks, they're reviewing film, managing egos, tweaking lines, answering calls from the front office, and prepping for the next crisis. If a player is unhappy, you're the therapist. If the media is upset, you're the spokesman. If the power play goes cold, you're the scientist in the lab at 2 a.m. trying to figure out what went wrong. There's a reason you can see the stress aging these guys in real time. Look at before and after photos of guys like Michel Therrien, Claude Julien, or Peter DeBoer. In just 2 or 3 seasons, they go from energetic tacticians to exhausted, slouched men with hollow eyes. It's not just time, it's tension compacted into every cell. And then there's the family impact and the silent cost most people never see. The average NHL coach moves every 2 to 3 years, meaning spouses and kids live in boxes. Kids bounce between schools. Family holidays are missed. Birthdays happen over FaceTime. One coach once joked, "I didn't know my daughter had braces until they came off." It wasn't a joke. Even when you're not moving, you're not really present. One former assistant coach told The Athletic, "I used to watch film on my iPad at my son's hockey games. I'd pretend I was taping his shift, but I was breaking down our neutral zone entries." And mental health? It's still taboo in hockey culture, especially for those in leadership. Behind closed doors, coaches battle anxiety, insomnia, and burnout. They're under immense pressure to be unshakable, the stable center of the storm, but they're human. There are nights they don't sleep, mornings they wake up wondering if this is the day their keycard stops working. Some coaches walk away and never come back, not because they lost their touch, but because they lost themselves in the grind. And when you're finally fired, there's no ceremony, no banner, just a short meeting, maybe a handshake, and then you're out the back door. You're not coaching a team, you're navigating a power struggle. Here's a dirty little secret: NHL coaches don't just manage players, they manage front office politics, owner preferences, analytics departments, and public expectations. Coaching the actual game is maybe 40% of the job, if that. Let's say you want to scratch a struggling veteran who hasn't scored in 12 games. Sounds reasonable, right? Not if that veteran's agent has ties to the GM, not if that player's contract is $6.5 million per year. You sit him? You're risking headlines, locker room tension, and your own job. Or maybe you've got a prospect who isn't ready, but the GM wants him in the lineup. He drafted the kid, sold him as NHL ready, and the front office is trying to justify their scouting department's salary. So you play him, even if it hurts your team. And when he gets burned on a bad pinch, guess who gets the criticism? Power struggles are constant. One of the most public examples, Ken Hitchcock's exit from Dallas, a legendary coach who clashed with ownership and young players over playing time and structure. He wanted accountability. The front office wanted offense. Result? He was nudged into retirement. Or look at the Mike Babcock/Kyle Dubas divide in Toronto. Dubas, a young analytics-focused GM, wanted speed and creativity. Babcock favored structure, predictability, and veteran trust. They coexisted. Barely, until results faltered. Babcock was blamed, but insiders say it was a long simmering philosophical war behind the scenes. The NHL isn't a meritocracy, it's a game of alliances, and coaches, often stuck in the middle. You're told to build culture, but you can't pick your players. You're told to hold players accountable, but not that player. He's got a no-move clause and a podcast deal. You walk into meetings where the GM wants to play the kids, the owner wants a deep playoff run, the analytics team wants more puck possession, and your gut tells you something else entirely. You juggle personalities, agendas, and data models, all while trying to win on the ice and keep your job off it. When it all falls apart, there's only one name on the blame sheet. You can feel it coming, not from the scoreboard, but from the silence. The hallway glances, the clipped replies, the media asking weirdly specific questions like, "Are you still confident you have control of this team?" You already know you're the fall guy. In the NHL, when a season derails, whether from injuries, poor trades, cold goaltending, locker room chemistry, or just bad luck, there's only one person who must go to satisfy the fans, the media, and the owners. You. Even if the team is riddled with injuries, even if your best player was on a 12-game slump, even if your goaltender is posting an .875 save percentage, it doesn't matter. The public needs a blood sacrifice, and it won't be the star forward with a no-trade clause. It won't be the GM who drafted a bust in the first round. It won't be the analytics department that pushed for expected goals over actual results. It's going to be you, and here's the worst part. The call is often made before the losing streak starts. Front office offices sometimes scout your replacement weeks in advance. Anonymous reports start trickling to the media. Sources inside the organization say there's growing frustration with the direction of the team. Translated, they've already printed your pink slip. Take Joel Quenneville, the second winningest coach in NHL history. Three-time Stanley Cup champion, gone mid-season from the Blackhawks in 2018 after a slow start. Not enough runway, not enough patience. Or Peter Laviolette, Cup winner and perennial playoff coach, let go by Nashville in 2020 because the locker room was stale. Was it really stale, or just easier to blame him than the aging core? And what about Claude Julien, fired from the Canadiens in 2021 after a minor slide? His team was 9-5-4. That's right, he got fired with a .625 win percentage. It doesn't matter how many cups you've won, how respected you are, or how many systems you've installed. The NHL is a what have you done for me lately league, and if your power play hits a slump, you're already on borrowed time. By now, we've walked through the layers of pressure NHL coaches face. The illusion of control, the politics, the emotional toll, the scapegoating. But what's harder to grasp is the mental damage that accumulates behind closed doors. There's a moment, every coach has it, it's when you feel like you're coaching inside a collapsing building. You're trying to prepare your team, manage expectations, and keep your players motivated. But deep down, you know none of it may matter.